Let's start with our lesson 2 on the MS Excel. When you see such words here, the average, the auto sum if, count function, count formula. Okay, unsa na siya ng mga words class. So this is under formulas and functions. Okay, mga formulas and functions na punta. So let's start. So, intro to formulas. So, what is a formula, by the way? Formula, okay, these are used to calculate values. The text. So, these are letters, symbols, numbers, and spaces, or any combination that you enter into a cell. Then, the value. A number that you enter into the cell that you may use in a formula later. So, again, formula used to calculate values. Text, these are letters, symbols, numbers, spaces. Values, the number that you enter into a cell. So, entering a formula class. So, formulas, these arithmetic calculations that can be performed in Excel. So, an Excel formula always begins with an equal sign. Say, for example, this formula sum. So, equal sum, then B5 plus C5 plus D5. Okay. So, B5, so kani siya class, C5, then D5. And then, ang formula na address siya sa total. So, inyong una-unaan class na dapat na yung equal sign before ka ma-create og formula. So, B5, shall we say, 8, C5, 9, and then D5, let's change this one to 90, 70, and 86. Say for example, these are your grades. Alright. So, if we want to have the total sa kanina mga values, pwede ito siya i-add of color class ha. Pwede ito mag-add of color using this one. Is red. So, if you want to have the total for this grades, sa kanina mga grades, so this is B5. Okay? So, why B5? It is because column letter is letter B, then 5, the row number. So, B5, under sa name box, nakasulat na ang B5. So, ang total class, how to sum, so we'll use the sum, and then tab, you can then click the B5, then plus C5 plus D5, enter. So the total for the three subjects is 246. How about we'll try to calculate the average. So, average, sa ito lang yung class title sa ito column. You can add colors here. So, dapat maklaro. Say, for example, the average. So, equal sign, then average. Then, tab. Okay. Average, and then B5, comma, C5, comma, then D5, and then enter. So the average for the three subjects, we have the 82. Okay, so pasar pa siya. So let's try. Ato siyang i-evaluate either pass or fail. Okay, so ayahang remarks. Okay, so equals and then if. We'll use the if na formula. Okay, so ayahang ko Andrea class is, ang logical test. Okay, then value if true, then comma, value if false. So, ang logic dari ang class, if this average is greater than or equal to 75, then comma, so mga siya if value if true. So, pass. Then, value if false. So, failed. Okay, enter. Okay. So, nga nung nag-error man siya class, it is because wala na to siya gutangan o kaning quotation. Double quote. So that is for the formulas. Okay, formulas. So these formulas are arithmetic calculations that can be performed in Excel. So an Excel formula always begins with an equal sign. So again, an equal sign. Don't forget this one. So this falls under the formula bar. Okay, this kaninga side class. May siya inyong formula bar. Next one, yang ginatulo is this. Okay, these are the cell with the formula. So, kung asa nakabutang ang formula. Okay, formula bar and the cell with the formula. Then, the range of cells. So, ang range sa cells na inyong gi-add. Okay, from B5, C5 to D5. Let's proceed to this. So, kani siya ang mga text. So, kani tanan are all text. And the values. Okay? Values here. So, mani siya ang mga values. The next one, arithmetic operation and corresponding keyboard sign. Sige. So, sa first sign is the plus button. Okay? That falls under addition. Then, this one, subtraction, the asterisk, multiplication, then this one, the division, and the last one is the exponentiation. So, for example, B5 plus, so equal sign again, do not forget the equal sign, and then B5 plus C5, that falls under the addition, subtraction, B5 minus C5, multiplication, equal sign B5 asterisk C5. Then division B5 then slash C5. Exponentiation equal sign B5 then exponent this one caret then 3. Okay, so the function, so in addition adds the value of cell B5 and C5. Subtraction subtracts the value of cell C5 from B5, and then multiplication multiplies the value of cells B5 and C5. Division divides the value of cell B5 by C5. Then exponentiation increases the value of B5 to the third power. Let's proceed to understanding cell references. So while you can create simple formulas in Excel using numbers, for example, equal sign 2 plus 2 or 5 times 5, most of the time you will use the cell addresses to create a formula. This is known as cell reference or ang address sa cell. So using cell reference, you will ensure that your formulas are always accurate because you can change the value of the reference cells without having to write the formula. Say for example, okay, pag i-change ba nato ang kanina na-grade into 75, ma-change ba ang total o ang average o ang remarks? Let's see. Let's try to enter this one. So, na-change ang iyang total. So, changing the values but ang iyang formula doesn't change. Okay? So, since atong gigamit is ang cell reference. Cell referencing. Okay, pag ato ni siyang E72, kapasar ba gyapon? Okay, so ang total is 217. Then the average, wala na siya kaabot og 75. So that's the reason why it became failed. Okay, failed na siya. Sige. Again, this is known as making a cell reference. So in the formula below, okay, kanina picture class, cell A3 adds the values of cells A1 and A2 by making cell references. Okay? So, equal sign A1 plus A2. So, wala niya gibutang na 5 plus 2. Yeah, is A1 plus A2. That is an example of cell referencing. So, cell references. So, when you press the enter, the formula calculates and displays the answer in cell A3. So, diretso na 7. So, 5 plus 2, 7. So, in our part here, for example, okay, dirampan sa another sheet. So, ang pasabot sa cell referencing class, if ever, we have here 5, then we have here 2, and then equal sign, i-click na to ang B2 plus B3, then enter. So, equal niyang value is 7. But if we will change this one into 8, so mag-change po ang value niya into 10. Okay. So, if i-change na to niya into 12, so mag-expect na mag-change po ang 10 into 20. But, if atong gamitin is equal sign and then 8 plus 12, then enter, so that's 20. So, nag-base lang ta sa ihang value. So, i-change na to niya into 5. So, nothing change since ang atoang formula gamit is fixed na siya na naka 8 plus 12 or yung value jud inyo ang gikuan, dili ang cell reference. So, better if ang atong gamiton is cell referencing, just like this, para if ever may change ta diri so automatic change po siya ang iyang equal na value. Alright? Understood? So, I hope so, students. So, let's proceed to this continuation. So, if the values in the reference cells change, the formula automatically recalculates. So, pag cell referencing class, just like A1 plus B2, A3 plus C4, ganyan, those are cell referencing. So, if i-change ito ang isa ka value, okay, automatic na mo recalculate ni siya ang iyang total. Okay. So, unsa itong gibutan mo sa A1, mo po itong i-calculate niya ang value. But, if fixed na to na siya, 6 plus 2, then 8, then i-change na to ni siya into 10, so dili siya ma-change. That is why better siya if mag-cell referencing ta class. Sige. Let's proceed to understanding cell references. So, example, equal sign A1 plus A2, add cells A1 plus A2. So, equal sign C4 minus 3 subtracts 3 from the cell C4. And then, E7 divided by J4 divides cell E7 by J4. Okay? These are samples of cell references. So, by combining a mathematical operator with cell references, you can create a variety of simple formulas in Excel. So, formulas can also include a combination of cell references and numbers, as in the examples, just like this one. So, modifying values with cell references. The true advantage of cell references is that they allow you to update data in your worksheet without having to write the formulas. So, in the example below, we modify the value of cell D10 from this one to this one. The formula in D12 will automatically recalculate the display in the new value cell in D12. Say for example this one. So D10, D then row 10 plus D11. So June budget, July budget. So at ang total na to, asa to siya ibutang ang formula dire sa total. D12 na siya. So equal sign D10 plus D11 equals to D12. So to create a formula using the point and click method, instead of typing the cell addresses manually, you can point and click the cells you want to include in your formula. So this method can save a lot of time and effort when creating formulas. So in our example below, we'll create a formula to calculate the cost of ordering several boxes of plastic silverware. Okay, so say for example, we have here the item names, and then the quantity, the price per unit, and the line total. So for example, if you are buying your ball pen, your notebook, and papers, and then this ball pens cost 7. Let's erase the formula here. And then the notebooks 20 pa ba ang mga notebook karon? Papers, shall we say 25. And then ang iyahang price per unit. So price per unit na siya. Itong balik taron. Then diri ang part class is ang iyahang quantity, kung pila ang stock. So if ever natay 100 diri natay 100 notebooks too and 200 papers. So let's have the line total. So equal sign, and then 7 multiplied by quantity 100, so that's 700. And then we'll use this drag button here to copy paste the formula. So ganyan lang. So copy pasting the formula, you can just drag here, and then so 20 times 100 or B3 times C3 is 2000, and the likes. Say for example class, if you want to insert a column here, so just right click, insert, and then so ang mga items sa A kagainan ato na sa B, and then ang sa B ato sa C, and the likes. So for example natay ko under number para ma-determine nato kung pila ka items diretso. So we have 1, 2, 3. If example class, daghan pa kay ka nga items imo i-add, so you can just highlight this 1, 2, and 3 and click this plus button here, drag until kung pila ang inyong gusto na i-add na item. Okay. So that's it. Kato lang, shortcut key for having a series of numbers or values. So you can just drag. Then automatic na siya na ang mag-apply kung pila to inyong gusto na numbers. Sige. So you can add, for example, you have in your sari-sari store, sari-sari store jud. So ball pen, notebooks, ano pa ba? Pencil. Okay? Then price per unit 8, quantity ang nasa inyong stock is 50 only. So total, you can simply drag or copy the formula from this. Okay, drag lang siya. Okay. So if atong i-hover diri as a formula class, we have C2 and multiplied by D2. And then the next C3 multiply D3, then C4, then C5 times D5. So, para i-check ninyo, class, just ikaw lang siya down, up and down. So, para makita ninyo tama ba ang formula. And then, notice, class, na pag i-click ito ang formula bar, na tayo makita na mga colors here. So, ang C5 color blue, meaning kani siya ang C5. Then, D5 color red. So, mapo siya ang D5. Para mas dali ma-determine sa user or sa nag-input aning formulas, para dali niya ma-determine kung sa ito ang na-appeal sa iyahang formula ng mga values. So, you can just drag here. Bisag wala pa siya value, class, pwede na siya na i-drag. Then, the result is 0. Okay. Pagbutang tayo og another. So, eraser. So, eraser, tag 5 daw kunuhay. Pila ka, ang quantity is 500 or 500. Okay, so that's 25. Write down your items here, the price per unit, then the quantity or inyong stocks. Okay. So, let's proceed to the next slide. So, select the cell that will contain the formula. In our example, we'll select the cell D4. Okay, why D4? It is because the column letter is D and then the row number is 4. So, D4, dili na to siya ibutang ang formula. Then, type equal sign. Then, number 3, select the cell that you want to reference first in the formula. Cell B4 in our example, then the cell address will appear in the formula. Okay. So, ang cell address niya sa kaninga 15 is B4. So, next one. Type the mathematical operator you want to use. In our example, we use the multiplication sign, which is the asterisk. Now, select the cell that you want to reference second in the formula, cell C4 in our example. So, the cell address will appear in the formula. So, kani class. Multiplication lang gyapon ni siya, class. And then, press enter in your keyboard. On your keyboard, the formula will be calculated and the value will be displayed in the cell. And just like this. So, copying formulas with a fill handle. Atong fill handle, class, atong small na square. Again, the fill handle is the small square at the bottom right corner of the selected cells. So, formulas can also be copied to adjacent cells with the fill handle, which can save a lot of time and effort if you need to perform the same calculation. Basta same lang ang calculation multiple times in our worksheet. Again, ang fill handle diri a class. Okay? Kaning atong say for example this one, and then drag ang iyong gi-drag, class mo to siya ang fill handle. Okay? Fill handle. So, notice, class, if isa lang ako ang if dili siya series, ako ang gi-select. For example, 1. Then, gusto na ko siya i-drag using fill handle. So, i-drag na to siya. So, automatically, 1 tanan. Yan ang 1 man, ma'am. Dili 1, 2, 3. Since ang inyong gigamit is 1 only. But, if gusto niyo na 1, 2, 3, so, kanitanan, kaning tulo, okay? Pag kanang tulo inyo i-drag, then fill handle, maggamit, gamiton inyo ang gigamit na series, okay? So, since 1, 2, 3, 4, sumpayad lang na niya. If example, 2, 4, 6, ganyan. So, iyang kuan is, counting is by 2 pod. So, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and so on. So, if 1,000, mo gusto niyo abot 1,000, so you just have to drag the fill handle. That's it. So, it's very time saving. Okay? Saves a lot of time and effort. So, copying formulas with fill handle continuation. So, select the cell containing the formula you want to copy. Click and drag the fill handle over the cells you want to fill. Okay? So, example kani, so drag and drag lang siya. So, example, kana isa lang ato ang nabutangan og formula. Okay, you can just drag this one para mas dali na mo mag enter. Hindi na kailangan na diri mag equal sign pa mo, then C3 plus C D3, diri na po equal sign. So, ang inyong gamiton is fill handle. Basta same lang siya og calculation. Okay, after you release the mouse, the formula will be copied to the selected cells. So, kung asa taman lang po ito inyong dragan. Madito lang taman. Sometimes you may want to excuse me. So, sometimes when you want to modify an existing formula, in the example below, we've entered the incorrect cell address in our formula, so we'll need to correct it. Say for example, this one. Okay, select the cell containing the formula. Want to edit in our example, we'll select the D12. Okay. Anong mamali man? Okay. Say for example, kaning 1, 2. So if you want to add this one, equal sign, click, then click and enter. So this is ang total niya kay 25. But if manotice na to class na G2 plus G2 siya, tingnan mo nga ano wala man na change kay kana mali day iyahang pag-reference sa cell. Example, equal sign G2 ana lang. So tingnan mo nga 1 2 lang gyapon. So be careful mo sa inyong pagbutang sa inyong formula class. So, maari nga, mamali siya usahay. So, double check lang gyapon. Dili kaya po magsalig sa Excel. So, let's proceed. Click the formula bar to edit the formula. You can also double click the cell you want to view and edit the formula directly within the cell. Yung pasabot class is, say for example, dere, gusto natin i-edit into D7. So, i-click na to, C6, then D7. So, round yun siya. There as, kung asa ka mag-edit, so, pwede siya sa formula bar. Pwede ra po na i-double click na to ni siya. So, makita na to ang formula diretso. Again, pwede sa formula bar, direta mag-edit, D8, say for example. Or, simply double click this one, and then, D6. So, pwede siya sa formula bar, pwede po direta. Dahil siya sa ang cell with formula. So, a border will appear around any reference cells. In our example, we'll change the first part of the formula to reference cell D10 instead of D9. Okay, katong kagain na nga na 1, 2 lang gyapon to siya. Wala man siya, 1, 5 lang gyapon kay wala di ay sulod ang D9, D10 di ay. Okay, so the June budget is under D10. Then, July budget is under D11. So, dapat D10 plus D11. Dili kay D9 plus D11. That's it. So, when you finished, press enter on the keyboard, then select enter command in the formula bar. So, the formula will be updated and the new value will be displayed in the cell. Say, for example, this one. Okay. So, pag D10 plus D11 na, so tama na ito ang value na na-add. So, let's proceed to this creating more complex formulas. So, more complex. Mas lisod na yun na siya as charm. Kaya lang yapon ni laban lang ta. So, you may have experience working with formulas that contain only one operator such as 7 plus 9. So, unsay ko lang ani equal sign. So, more complex formulas can contain several mathematical operators such as 5 plus 2 times 8. So when there's more than one operation in a formula, the order of operations tells Excel which operation to calculate first. To write formulas that will give you the correct answer, you don't need to understand the order of operations. So what are these order of operations class? So the order of operations. So Excel calculates formulas based on the following order of operations. Number 1, okay, operations enclosed in parentheses. So, parentheses first. Pinakauna dyan class, if gusto niyo na i-priority to siya nga formula, or una siya i-basahan sa Excel, so dapat enclose siya og parentheses. And then, the second one is the exponential calculations. So, 3 to the power of 2, 3 to the power of 4, for example. And then, multiplication and division. So, whichever comes first. So, pwede siya multiplication, pwede division. So, either sa duha, pwede siya unahan basta katong nasa duha, naradira ang after sa exponential. Next one is on the addition and subtraction. So, pinakaiwit yun siya class. So, whichever comes first. So, a mnemonic can help you remember the order is PEMDAS. So, PEMDAS rules in your mathematics class. So, you can use this mnemonic. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. So, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. P for parentheses. Excuse means exponential. M multiplication. D for division. Aunt Sally addition and subtraction. So, that is under PEMDAS. PEMDAS rule. So, balik lang punta sa math, ma'am, of course. Balik dito sa math ani class. Sa Excel, kata siya, Excel calculates PEMDAS rule. So, in the example below, it demonstrates how Excel uses the order of operations to solve a more complex formula. So, here we want to calculate the cost of sales tax for catering invoice. To do this, we'll write our formula as equal sign and then parentheses D3 plus D4 plus D5 times 0.075 or the 7.5% in cell D6. So, kuha na to siya o sales tax. So, this formula will add the prices of our items from D3 to D5 and then multiply the value by 7.5% tax rate, which is written as 0.075 to calculate the answer. So, 7.5 move na to ang iyang point, 2 points. So, 0.075. So, creating complex formulas continuation. So, Excel follows the order of operations and first adds the values inside of parentheses. So, parentheses, ang naka-include is 45.80, 68.70, and 179.60 equal to 274.10. It then multiplies the value by the tax rate, 274.10 times 0.075 or 7.5%. The result will show that the sales tax is $20.56. So, ang sales tax na ato kay 20.56 or the 7.5%. So, it is especially important to follow the order of operations when creating a formula. Otherwise, Excel won't calculate the results accurately. So, in our example, if parentheses are not included, the multiplication is calculated first and the result is incorrect. So, parentheses are often the best way to define which calculations will be performed first in the Excel. Okay, so gamitan, if ever gani ato ang gamito na formula class, wala siya parentheses, wala naka-enclose ang katong dapat i-add first, then i-multiply. Ang unang guniya buhaton ani class is ang multiplication. So, D5 times 0.75 plus D4 plus D3. So, dapat i-enclose yun siya. Dapat ang dapat na i-enclose. Okay? Para mauna siya o calculate sa ito ang Excel. So, that is, this is a wrong sales tax since dako ra kay siya, diba? 126.47 dako ra kay. So, wrong yun na siya. Dapat 20 point something na siya. To create a complex formula using the order of operations. Okay. So, in the example below, we'll use cell references along the numerical values to create a complex formula that will calculate the subtotal for catering invoice. The formula will calculate the cost of each menu item first, then add these values. So, select the cell that will contain the formula. In our example, we'll select the cell C5. Okay, so column C, then row number 5. Okay, so subtotal niya, pila man kaya. So, enter the formula or your formula. In our example, we'll type equal sign B3 times C3 plus B4 times C4. This formula will follow the order of operations, first performing the multiplication. Okay, so mani siya ang ato ang B3 i-multiply sa 35 na quantity, that's 97.65. And then this one is the B4, okay, B4, then multiplied by 20 sa iyang quantity sa C4, then 45.80. It then will add these values to calculate the 97.65 plus 45.80. So, ano siya ang atong subtotal. Double-click the formula for accuracy, then press enter on your keyboard. The formula will calculate the display result in our example. The result shows the subtotal for the order is 143.45. Okay, this one. You can add these parentheses to any equation to make it easier to read, while it won't change the result of the formula in this example. So we could enclose the multiplication operations within parentheses to clarify that they will be calculated first before the addition. Alright, so let's go to the relative and absolute cell references. So there are two types of cell references class, the relative and the absolute. So relative and absolute references behave differently when copied and filled to other cells. So relative references change when formula is copied to another cell. Absolute references, on the other hand, remain constant no matter what they are copied. Okay. So by default, again please remember this one. Ang relative references change and then absolute references constant. So relative references change, absolute references constant. So relative references. By default, all cell references are relative references. When you copy it across multiple cells, they change based on the relative positions or rows and columns. For example, if you copy the formula A1 plus B1 from row 1 to row 2, the formula will become A2 plus B2. Kung ito siyang igamit ang fill handle, ma-change pa iyang row number. So, relative references are especially convenient whenever you need to repeat the same calculations across multiple rows or columns. So, in the following example, we want to create the formula that will multiply items price by the quantity. So instead of creating a formula for each row, we can create a single formula in cell D4 and then copy it to the other rows. So we'll use the relative references so the formula calculates the total number for each item correctly. Okay. So number 1, select the cell that will contain the formula in our example. We'll select the cell D4. Okay, again, the item, then menu price, the quantity, and the line total. Sige. So let's proceed. Enter the formula to calculate the desired value. In our example, we'll type B4, okay, B4 times or multiplied to C4. And then, drag using the fill handle. Okay, fill handle. Enter or just drop. Okay, so you can double click the filled cells to check their formulas for accuracy. Okay, pwede nyo siya i-double click ang cell. So if you want to release where asa lang to siya taman, dito lang po taman ang i-copy niya nga formula. So that's for the absolute relative references. Okay, so we have here absolute references. So there may be times that when you do not want a cell reference to change when filling cells. Unlike relative references, absolute references do not change. Okay, meaning it is constant when copied or filled. So you can use absolute references to keep an row or column constant. So an absolute references is designated in the formula by addition of $sign before the column or row if it precedes a column or row but not both, it's known as mixed references. Okay, so A2, so instead of A2, naa siya $A, $2. The column and the row do not change when copied. Okay, then A, then $2, the row does not change when copied. Okay, $A2, the column does not change when copied. So, pwede ra, either sa, kung sa imuhang i-remain constant. So, pwede ra ang row number and then yan ang column. So, na siya mixed references. So, we'll use the relative A2 and absolute. Okay, ang relative A2 na siya absolute na $A, $2 formats in most formulas. Relative references are used less frequently. Now, in the examples beside, we are going to use cell E2, which contains the tax rate 7.5. To calculate the sales tax for each item, column D. So, natay tax rate rin na 7.5. Now, to make sure the references to the tax rate stays constant, even when the formula is copied to field and filled to the other cells, we'll make it to cell $E, $2 as an absolute reference. So, this one, E2, so man siya ato ang gamiton na for absolute reference. So, enter the formula to calculate the desired value. So, in our example, we'll type equal sign B4 times C4 times the absolute value of E2. Okay? The $E, $2, making an absolute reference. So, muna ni siya ang ato ang formula class. Then, i-drag na to siya hanto diri. Okay? So, fill handle. So, release the mouse. The formula will be copied to the selected cells with an absolute reference and the values will be calculated in each cell. So, unit price times quantity. Tapos, sige, enclose siya, then times the sales tax na 7.5. So, mani siya ang ato ang result. So, mani siya ang tax. Sales tax na to siya. So, be sure to include $sign whenever you are making an absolute reference across multiple cells. So, $signs were omitted in the example below. This caused to interpret as a relative reference. So, producing an incorrect result to copying the other cells. So, pag in-ani siya class na walay $sign, okay, naabot siya sa E6. Okay? So, ato siyang i-double check. Okay? So, dapat na, kung gusto na ito ni absolute value ni siya, absolute meaning, gusto na ito i-constant. Again, constant. So, gusto na ito 7.5, dyan na ang ilahang i-multiply. Okay? So, dapat butang na ito ang $sign. Do not forget that one. So, use cell references with multiple worksheets. So, Excel allows you to refer any cell on a worksheet, which can be especially helpful when you want to reference specific value from worksheet to another. Okay, so use the exclamation point. For example, on sheet 1, okay, A1 on sheet 1. Okay, note that if the worksheet names contains a space, you'll need to include single quotation marks around the name. For example, if you want to reference cell A1 on a worksheet, July budget, dapat patang siya og quotation mark, single quotation mark, then exclamation mark, then A1. Okay, so in our example below, we'll refer to a cell with the calculated value between two worksheets. So this will allow us to use the exact same value, again, exactly same value on two different worksheets without rewriting the formula or copying data. So locate the cell we want to reference and note its worksheet. So in our example, we want to reference cell E14 on the menu order worksheet. So navigate to the desired worksheet. In our example, we'll select the catering invoice worksheet. So catering invoice, that ay service, description, and then the line total. So catering invoice. So locate and select the cell where you want to where you want the value to appear. In our example, we'll select the C4. Okay, so gusto na to copy ang katunga cell C4. Select C4. So type the equal sign first, do not forget, and the sheet name followed by exclamation point and the cell address. Example, we'll type equal sign menu order, then exclamation mark, then E14. So this copies the value. Okay, so ang value nga total. Okay, so press enter on your keyboard. The value of the reference cell will appear. Now, if the value of the cell E14 changes on the menu order worksheet, it will be updated automatically on the catering invoice worksheet. Okay, so if you rename the worksheet at a later point, the cell reference will be automatically updated to reflect the new worksheet name. So if you enter a worksheet name incorrectly, okay, pag mali gani class, error will happen in the cell. So in our example below, we'll mistype the name of the worksheet. To edit, ignore, or investigate the error, click the error button beside the cell and choose the option from the menu. Okay, so edit in the formula bar. So sa day kulang yang single quotation mark. Okay, so say for example, so official grade kay isa si Mark. Si Mark ay failed siya. Atong i-drag ni siya nga cell, so diri na to ibutang diretso. So name and then grade, final grade. So this is just an example class. Pag gusto na to i-copy ang name sa kanang official student enrolled, so click lang siya. Again, let's have this color. And then siya claro, so change it into white. Alright, so equal sign, and then go to where your students are enrolled, then click the name and then click enter para makopy to ang official student's name enrolled. Okay, so for example, so wala pa siya value dito sa students enrolled, so wala siya na for example, wala siya na copy. Okay, example that one. So, ang ato ang ipang type diri a class, si Hannah ag si Rain, diretso na siya na mo reflect sa sample na worksheet. For example, i-copy na to ang grades nila. Button sa na to grades si Hannah ag si Rain. There's 80, 89, 90, then 70, 99, 87, 79. Say for example, ganyan. Okay, ito siyang i-center class. Ganito to highlight, then center everything para di siya yagaw. And then, ang total class, dili na ta kailangan na mag-equal sign sum patadali na. So, ang button to is, ang formula nga itong gibutang diri, ito na siya i-copy. So, using the fill handle, drag, and then also here, drag, and then the remarks also, click and drag. Then, if gusto na to class na gamay lang yung decimal point, so we can use this part here, decrease the decimal point. Okay. Para mas dali lang natin ma-determine. Naabay na 75 dali, for example, 75, 75, 74. So failed na siya. Kapag 75, so pass na siya. Okay? So, this is what when you copy from a value or a formula from the other worksheet. So let's proceed to the functions. Function is a predefined formula that performs calculations using a specific value in a particular order. Okay, let's proceed to functions. Okay, what are functions? Sorry for the noise. So what are functions, class? A function is a predefined formula that calc up using a specific values in a particular order. Excel includes many common functions that can be used quickly to find the sum, average, count, maximum value, minimum value for a range of cells. So in order to use functions correctly, you'll need to understand the different parts of a function and how to create arguments to calculate values and cell references. So MS Excel functions. So function equals sum, equals average, equals max, equals mean, equals count, equals if. So the description for that, so sa sum, kabalo man tanga addition. Alright, let's proceed to function average. Calculates the arithmetic mean of a range of cells or values. Max gives the maximum value in a range of cells or values. Mean gives the minimum value of the range of cells or values. Count the number of cells in a range of cells or values. If shows a series of calculations using the same formula but different value for each calculation to determine whether the formula is true or false. So functions are built-in formulas you can use to make your worksheet or construction easier. Okay, I hope that is understood. In order to work correctly, a function must be written in a specific way, which is called the syntax. Okay, the basic syntax for a function is equal sign, of course. Do not forget equal sign. Do not forget the equal sign and the function name, for example, sum, and one or more arguments. So arguments contain the information you want to calculate. The function in the example below would add the values of cell range A1 to A20. Equal sign, then function name, and then the argument A1 to A20. Working with arguments. So arguments can refer both individual cells and cell ranges and must be enclosed within parentheses. So you can include one argument or multiple arguments depending on for example, the function equals average B1 to B9. Alright, B1 to B9. So it would calculate the average for the values of the range of cells B1 to B9. This function contains only one argument. So multiple arguments must be separated by comma. For example, the functions sum A1 to A3, comma, C1 to C2, comma, and E1 will add the values of all the cells in so select the cell that will contain the function. In our example, we'll select the D13. So the AutoSum command allows you to automatically insert the most common functions into the formula, including sum, average, count, mean, and max. So in the example, we'll use the sum function to calculate the total cost for a list of recently ordered items. Say for example, in editing group on the home tab, click arrow next to AutoSum command. Arrow next. Choose the desired function from the drop-down menu. So in our example, we'll select the sum. So we'll select sum. Excel will place the function in the cell and automatically select a cell range for the argument. So in our example, cells D3 to D12 were selected. So from this one, so automatically their values will be added to calculate the total cost. If Excel selects the wrong cell range, you can manually enter the desired cells into the argument. Okay, so pwede niyo siya i-change kung example, dili niyo siya i-include ang D3. So D4, gusto niyo i-D4 diretso. So pwede i-change the class. So Press enter on the keyboard and the functions will be calculated and the result will appear in the cell. So for example, the sum of D3 to D12 is $765.29. So the AutoSum command can also be accessed from the formulas tab on the ribbon. Then natin siya AutoSum. So you can select sum, average, count numbers, max, min. So max kung katong pinakataas among the sa inyong di-select nga range. So sa min or na minimum nga number sa inyong range. You can also use the Alt plus equal sign on keyboard shortcut instead of AutoSum command. To use this shortcut key, hold down the Alt key and then press the equal sign. To enter your function manually, so select the cell that would contain the function. In our example, we'll select the C10. So we'll select that one. So if you already know the function name, you can easily type it yourself. In the example below, a tally of cookies sales will use the average function to calculate the average number of units sold by each row. Type equal sign and enter the desired function. You can also select the desired function from the list of suggested functions that appears below the cell as you type. So in our example, we'll type average. Okay, so paintanot ang average na ilahang unit, ilang na baligya, unit sold. So enter the cell range. So average equals then C3 to C9. Okay, for the argument inside the parentheses. So we'll type equals average C3 then colon C9. The formula will add the value from C3 to C9. Then divide the value by the total number of values in the range. So siya na bahala natin as equals average. So press enter and we'll see the result. It is 849. So number symbol replacement. So if the number is too long to fit within the cell boundaries, Excel displays a series of symbol or hashtag or number in the cell. Okay? So if in any class, dili ni siya makita ang total, what you are going to do is to adjust this one, ang iyang column na width. Okay, say for example this one, gamay na gid kay siya, so iyang button is mag hashtag na siya. Okay, for this one to be seen, ang total na ato i-adjust iyang width. Okay, para makita ang iyang total jud. Kaya di siya gusto nga maipit, dapat try exactly. Kaya exact lang ang iyang width. Sige. So let's proceed to error messages. So formula error messages and its meaning. So div then /0 then exclamation. This attempts to divide by 0. So meaning walay for example, wala siya ma-divide. Value. This tries to calculate something that's not a value such as text. So inyong gibutang dito ay instead of 7 divided by 5 or ang nakabutan dito sa cell kay letter. So gibutang niya ang value. Hashtag value exclamation. Next, reference. So addresses a cell that doesn't exist or is invalid. Okay? So you check if makita niyo siya sa adto mo sa inyo. Iyahang cell address or cell reference ay basin na ay wrong dito pagka-type. Alright. So name then question mark is a cell name that you have not defined or must misspelled. It cannot be recognized. So name question mark. Num. Hashtag num. Then at times an invalid numeric data or data for the type of operation. So number. Okay. Number invalid iyahang numeric data. NA, formula for our function cannot find the reference data. So wala siya reference data. Null, space was used in formula that reference multiplies ranges. Pag kanang na ay mga space or na sobra gamay. So that is all about the Excel class. So, napako ihatag na mga say for example this one. Okay. For example, the rank. So in this part class, if you want to rank these 3 students, gusto na to sila i-rank si Mark and si Hannah and si Rain. Ang buhaton na to is equals the function rank. Okay? So rank then tab. Rank that one then open parentheses and then this number here. Okay, kay Mark, let's say Mark first, then comma, and then the reference. So, nakita siya reference from F5 to F7. And then, ato na siyang ihimuan na constant. So, ang gamitan na to is, natuog, $sign. Why man constant man siya? It's because muna siya ang atong range. So, dapat sila yung tulong ma-appeal sa atong pag-ranking. And then, comma. So, descending. So, pwede mapili og ascending o descending. So, sa ranking man ta, so, ilang top 1, top 2, and 3. So, dapat kay descending. So, pagamay siya ang vowel. Sige. So, let's press enter. So, it says here nga si Mark is rank 3. So, ato siyang gamitan nato o fill handle. So, fill handle class, just select this cell and then drag and that's it. So, makita na to ang rank nilang tulong. So, be sure kung mag-color-color po mo class, just like this, dapat kayo maklaro inyong readable gyapon inyong mga titles. Okay. So, if dapat kung dark na ang colors, dapat gamitan na font color is light. Okay. So, since dark na ang red, gamitan to og white. So, pwede po ta mag-color diri Then, this part here, class, pag gusto na to nga ma-determine jud siya, gamitan to og conditional formatting, color scales, and then, okay, pwede ta mamili og unsa to nga color scales. Say, for example, that one. Okay, so, ang number, if red kay siya, that's number 1. Okay, yellow, tunga-tunga, then green kay ang katong pinakalasan. For your other questions, class, you may just PM me directly or you can just type on the comment section.